Bruno's Podcast.
Figured that out, but what happened? Someone saw you, met someone, and you're like...
Right, so my idol in wrestling is a guy called Pat Roach. And if you don't know who Pat Roach is the Nazi who gets his head cut off in Indiana Jones and the Ark.
Okay.
What's it called, that one?
I think, I don't know. That's why we have internet. The Ark or whatever. Yeah. Continue.
He's in that one. So he gets his head cut off.
Yeah.
He's in Temple of Doom, and he's the Indian dude who gets squashed in the stone cutter. He's having a fight with Indy. Gets his turban caught in his waist garment caught in the stone cutter.
Yeah.
So he's actually a Nazi and an Indian in them two films. I was always aware of Pat Roach because of them two films, and he was in an English...
It's called The Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, Raiders of the Lost Ark, yeah.
He was in a program called Alvidas and Pet, a very big program in England. But most importantly, he was a pro wrestler. And he was probably the biggest wrestler in Britain. He was like our version of The Rock, pretty much.
Right.
But he got famous because people watched him in Alvidas and Pet. But then that led him to do things like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's a stuntman. So I was like, wow, that's amazing. He's a wrestler and a stuntman. So when I started doing wrestling and I learnt more about Pat Roach, I went, I want to be Pat Roach. That's what I want. I want to use wrestling as a tool to get me to that. And I want to do exactly what he's doing, stunt work. So that was always my thing. Wrestling, exactly.
Yeah.
I was influenced by films like Ong Bak when I was working in Thailand.
Yeah.
Tony Jaa, again, another one of my heroes.
Have you met him?
Not met him. When we did Expendables 4, I was like, I hope I'm in the same scene as him. But we weren't, but never mind. I always thought when you watch Ong Bak and being in Thailand and seeing the importance of what Ong Bak is to Thai people, it's not just about Tony Jaa. It's the fact that he put Muay Thai on a platform that no one had done before. He was like a positive representation of Thai culture.
Yeah.
And I went, that's what I want to do for wrestling, my way of fighting. Okay. So anyway, I started thinking about this, adapting it, thinking about different things I could do. I got in contact with, weirdly, on MySpace. Do you remember MySpace?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So my first ever gig was with Ross Boyas. Again, we've talked about Ross earlier. Really good. Ross Boyas is like an unspoken hero in British action films. He, like, if it weren't for Ross, I don't think the British scene wouldn't be what it is, because everyone knows Ross. Everyone goes to Ross for help. But Ross doesn't really get a lot of recognition for that, if that makes sense. But everyone knows Ross. You go to the AFM in America, everyone knows Ross, right? Yeah. So he's a really important person in the British film industry, especially action.
Talking about the British film industry, do you mind if I show the video from Joe Rogan's?
This,
yeah. So because when I saw the post, you posting that like, oh shit, this fight made it on Joe Rogan's. I was like, fuck, this is amazing. Yeah. So the backstory of this is this guy. He's a rapper. And they were just talking about movies.
The fight, actually, he was talking about the fight. I just edited the fight around it,
Yeah. And then, for me, like, I have very, very, like, lovely, I think, like, good relation with Scott Adkins.
Here's the thing with Scott as well. So Scott was going back and forth with me, and we're talking on the phone and stuff. And when he said, like, and I had to actually audition for that, for a role, and I had to get some dialogue.
Yeah.
And he went, I want to offer you the role of Stretch. I was like, cool. And I just sat there and went, I've fucking done it. I'm doing a fucking film with Scott Adkins.
Yeah.
So Scott said he'd come down to my place. You said the only time you've been starstruck is with The Rock.
Yeah.
Scott Adkins. I'm sorry, Scott. Like, if he's like, I was fucking starstruck.
Really?
Man. Like, so, and like the thing at the time as well, so like, unless you've seen Boyka, not a lot of people are going to know who Scott is, it's like wrestling. You could be
Blah, blah, blah. Bruno's Podcast.